Viking select Christian Ponder, quarterback, Florida State.
Coming to you now in mid-quality audio, brought to you in part by FNS Delivers. From your Vikings game day headquarters, Great Mandarin at the Eden Prairie Center. It's football talk like you've never heard before. Get ready for America's favorite Minnesota Vikings podcast. With your hosts, Sticky.
I really hated what he did. I hope he starts on fire.
And Bun.
You have gotten naked and are standing right in front of me and are doing thrusts.
It's the Sticky Buns Fun Time Happy Football Program. Ladies and gentlemen, Sticky and Bun.
And we're back for playoff edition of Sticky Buns.
Where's the countdown? I didn't hear it before or after you hit record.
No, I avoided the countdown. It's a whole new year. It's a whole new Nick. I'm wearing pants, kind of. Damn it. That's the first time I've screwed up, and I've identified myself. My identity has been blown. Everything is ruined.
I feel like we have like 5 listeners who are all our friends, and I don't think it was unknown. I got a Christmas card from one of them who doesn't even live in this state, who addressed it to Sticky. You know exactly who it is, too, without me even telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations. Your pants have made you dumber. You should take them off. Let's start 2015 with a bang. Take off your clothes. There, buddy.
No, that's not going to happen.
I don't like that idea.
I've already chased away the intern. He's just here for a couple days. But we are glad to have him. Yay, intern.
Yes, we are.
So, I know some of you might be confused because last week Sticky said we were taking a week off.
We did.
We didn't take a week off. We had a podcast last week, and we have a podcast this week.
Listen,
in what way
are determined by games, and we skipped talking about last week's game.
We never talk about upcoming games that don't involve the Vikings.
You don't know that?
How do I not know that?
You live in a fantasy realm where shorts and open-toed shoes are the norm. I do not live in that realm. That's it.
We didn't skip it. We had a podcast last week, and we're having a podcast this week.
I know, and we skipped a week.
See, I'm still convinced that you thought New Year's was its own weekend.
No.
So
because it falls in the middle of the weekday.
Well, yeah, that's what it was, but you're treating it like it was a weekend in my mind. I think you think a whole new week happened between last weekend's games and New Year's Eve.
Not at all. Not at all. I am very well aware of where we are in the spectrum of the calendar.
So did we have a podcast last week?
We talked last week, but we did not go over last week's games.
Why would have we talked about last week's games?
Because there were games going on where they're not.
But we barely talk about upcoming games that... You know what? This is a stupid conversation. I'm tired of it already.
Let's just be honest. When are our conversations not stupid?
This is bickering. It's recently occurred to me that we act like an old married couple at times. I'm done.
I can't believe it took you this long to come to that realization.
I really should have before.
You even re-listened to our podcasts.
Yeah.
How do you not come to that conclusion?
I just think, wow, I'm really right, and this other guy is really, really wrong.
Do you know that Matt Asiata is in special company, having scored so many touchdowns in one season?
That's great. But we call him Ass and Otter.
No, he did things other running backs didn't.
That's true. That is definitely true. So are we going to talk about the Vikings, or are we going to talk about other games?
We have rules.
Do we?
We have rules. We established the rules last time.
Yeah, the rule was we were skipping a week.
Yes, and we did! I'm so proud of you for admitting it, that you were wrong earlier in the podcast. We cannot talk about the future yet, because it's not the end of the season. The season is prolonged. What we can do We will talk about some Viking news and some not Viking news, and we'll also talk about the upcoming games, because wild card doesn't matter. The only thing
you don't want to talk about the Dallas-Detroit game?
No, we're going to.
That's you
not
just
wild
said the
card.
last games didn't matter. That was
wild card. Wild card doesn't matter. Last week.
Detroit-Dallas was last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Dallas and Green Bay. The only thing that mattered last week was that Detroit lost, because that's what they do, and they never surprise me. Never.
Don't want to talk about the picked up flag?
I literally didn't watch any of it, so we can talk about it. I have no opinion. It's going to be a very one-sided conversation on that game.
Did you see the highlight?
I read some stories. I mean, I know what happened, but I've also listened to NFL radio on my satellite, and they've argued a bunch of points, which I don't know which side I agree with because I didn't see any of it. And they talk about it as if I've seen it, so it doesn't work out so well for me.
Okay, I don't want to talk about it a lot because since you didn't see it...
I'm a fan of Detroit losing.
Yeah. I will say that both teams in that game tried very hard to live up to the expectation of choking. They both really tried their hardest to fuck that game up.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
And what everyone is ignoring with the picked up flag was it was a terrible pass. If the defender turns around, it's an easy interception. Stafford had other balls that he threw that should have been easy interceptions, including at the end of the half, right before they kicked a field goal. There was another one where a linebacker blocked a pass that was kind of like Harrison did. Who was it against? Miami? No. When did Harrison block one and return it? That is a little harder to do, but still.
Harrison Smith?
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, he came on a blitz and blocked a pass and caught it.
Nope.
Who was it?
Nope. Just keep going.
Anyhow. And then, of course, the Cowboys tried their hardest
Hold on.
pass interference to run onto the field without helmet.
We have to go back and address this because your train completely went off the tracks. You didn't understand why you were wrong, and you were having a very difficult time putting together sentences because you were
Okay, why was I wrong?
You weren't. That's the best part. You were completely right. But I like to do that to you because you don't know what to do, and you start to doubt yourself, and it just becomes extremely entertaining. You were right. He did do that.
Okay.
Do you feel better?
Yes, because I knew it happened, but I was like, I don't remember what game. I was pretty sure it was Harrison Smith.
Did you wonder if you were drunk secretly?
No, I just was like,
Of
how did you
serious?
forget this? You love Harrison Smith.
I do love
Your
Harrison
coworkers
Smith.
love Harrison Smith.
Who are my coworkers?
We're not allowed to tell. It's an anonymous podcast.
That's right. We don't want people to know what is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. Now you're taking a video.
No, I'm not. I'm waiting for it to focus. It's hard with little light.
So, yeah, Des Bryant tried to run on the field to blow the game for the Cowboys. Then the Lions punter managed to blow the game for the Cowboys. Stafford fumbled. It was recovered by the Cowboy player, who then fumbled it himself, trying to return it.
I will say, okay, hold on. I was on my way back to this wonderful state from being gone, and I did listen to some of the game on the radio, and I remember I was going back and forth because the person I was with, we'll just call her my wife at this moment, did not want to listen to NFL. So I remember flipping it just as they were describing that the Cowboys had picked up the fumble, and I started cheering in the car because I don't like Detroit, and then they fumbled it, and I said, what the F? Can't you just do something right? Just go down.
They both really tried hard to lose this game. I think the Cowboys are going to lose very badly this week, and you know what? I think I'm okay with that, even though it will be to the Packers.
I'm not sure they're going to lose.
I think they are.
You heard about the interesting news today on the good old Green Bay Packers, haven't you?
Are we talking about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Or he did everything they asked him to.
Great. Good job. The key
I don't know how much they asked him to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They asked him to show up into the building. He doesn't just have a strain. He has a torn calf muscle.
I don't think it'll matter. I think the Lions, now that the Lions have managed to prove themselves the bigger chokers, the Cowboys will fulfill their destiny and lose, and Chris Christie will be fat and sobbing.
Well, isn't he kind of already? I mean, I just imagine he cries when he thinks about his constituents while eating cake.
It really baffles me that he's governor of a state and makes me kind of hate that state.
We shouldn't really talk about governors, though, because we have a governor who wants to pass legislation that requires Big Ten football games in this state to start after 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know.
He literally wants to make that a law.
But that's for his constituents. I mean, it's a dumb idea.
I feel like there are no constituents that agree with that, except for college students.
Are they not constituents?
College students.
Are they not constituents?
They do not.
We don't count drunk college students?
No. There are very little times when you count drunk college students. Very little. Let's just be real. I was one of them. You can't count us. We are worthless.
He doesn't spend 42% of his time out of state.
That's a weird fact.
I heard that about Christie recently.
I feel like you're a nutcase when it comes to politics.
I probably care more than I should.
I believe in the
Especially
Dalai
because
Lama.
I don't actually do anything about it.
You like to vote so that the shadow proclamation cannot come back and haunt you? Wait, how did you say it to me?
I'm not sure.
The Shadow Corporation, not the Shadow Proclamation. That was a Doctor Who reference. You're welcome. I'm rewatching it. They're taking it away in February, and I will cry.
They're taking it away on what?
Netflix.
Boy, I should get on that.
Oh, it's such a fantastic show.
I don't really understand how because it's a really old show. Do I have to go all the way back?
No.
I kind of want to go all the way back though. If I'm going to watch it, don't I want to watch it from the very, very beginning?
It's mildly irrelevant. You can. They've split it into Classic Who and Doctor Who, so you can watch both. But you don't need to see the beginnings in order to know what's going on. They do a good job of explaining it. I think, to me, the weird part is that the first season of when it came back, Christopher Eccleston is the Doctor, but he only lasts one season, and he does a good job of explaining it. He's a little weird compared to the other ones. But when they interviewed him and asked why he quit the show, he said he didn't want to be typecast. I'm not sure that was ever going to happen. So, and he kind of has had a weird career after. Maybe he should have stuck with it. But the 10th and 11th Doctor, the 10th Doctor is my favorite, by far. David Tennant, he's a dreamboat. I will marry him someday. I don't care. I know he's married and has kids. Doesn't matter to me. That's irrelevant.
You're going to have a very hard time finding a place you can live where you can marry all the different men that you want to marry.
Utah. I feel like Utah in the future is where I'm going to live, where they allow gay marriage and gay polygamy.
I guess that's where it would have to be.
There's no other place we can be. And we'll have Matt Hansen as neighbors. Can I say his name on this? Does he even listen?
I really, really doubt he does.
That's unfortunate. He seems like he would like this.
I think he would.
We should tell him.
Yeah.
And then apologize for saying his full name on this. No one doesn't matter. The only people who listen already know him. Although, I did meet a stranger once who said they listened to this.
A stranger?
Well, not a friend of mine. They knew of me, and they found this through finding me, and they started listening. It was very weird.
Okay. Well.
They commented once.
Thanks for listening.
Pretty sure they only listened to the one. And it was the anal leakage one. Wait, no. Anal eating?
Rectal feeding.
Rectal feeding.
Okay. So, you think... So, getting back to the games, Is that a call? You think Dallas is winning this game?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Their defense is terrible, and they try very hard to lose games in playoffs.
They do, but here's why I think they're going to win. Tony Romo is having the season everyone always expects Tony Romo to have at some point. He never does. They have a pretty good offensive line. They were, from what I've read, again, I didn't watch it, they were disastrous against the Lions, but that can happen, especially when you put the Lions in their spotlight. Their strengths tend to show up much larger. The problem with the Lions is their weaknesses always show up as much larger weaknesses.
I was telling a friend I really enjoy, and I shouldn't at this point because Detroit has enough problems, I really enjoy that Detroit is always terrible, and I can always just feel a little bit better about being a Vikings fan because the Lions are so terrible most of the time. I mean, they were better than us this year, but they're still terrible.
They are.
And their history is terrible, and in every way it's worse than being a Vikings fan. And it's so nice that there is a team in our division that we can look down on because we can't do much.
So I had a former boss of mine when Ndamukong Suh was drafted. He's a Nebraska fan, so he became a Lions fan just based on that, which obviously is dumb.
A foolish decision in the end.
So he would argue that Ndamukong Suh was going to take the world by storm, which he did for a year or two. And some random...
I think he's going to make stupid money this offseason. I said last podcast that the suspension was going to cost him so much money, but then he was not suspended, and he played really, really well, and there were a lot of times also that it was blatant that he was being held and it wasn't called. I think someone is going to throw just stupid money at him. I'm talking like 6 years, 120, 7 years, 140.
That's the best part, is he's worth it if he had a brain.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have to have Christian Ponder's brain, the most brilliant man on the planet. He just has to have, like, average brain. Like, if he had Josh Freeman brain. If he had Josh Freeman brain, he'd be making so much money, it'd be ridiculous. That there's so little of a chance he'd ever go bankrupt. Well, obviously there's a chance, but he would have that much money. But he's so dumb. He keeps costing himself millions. And now the Detroit Lions have come out today, oddly enough, and said the franchise tag is likely.
I heard it wasn't out of the question. I didn't hear likely. And I can't see how they would do it because the franchise tag is $26 million, and they have this is early estimates. We don't actually know what the salary cap is yet, but the early estimates have them having about $20 million of cap space. So you'd have to cut at least $10 million just to get back under the cap and have room to sign your rookies. And they need to sign so many other positions.
They do. But if you think, okay, this is why I love the Detroit Lions. This was their 2009. This was, and
I've said that before, and I still think that.
Because they cannot afford for Suh to leave. His companion in the inside is already gone.
Well, if they don't sign Suh, they could get him back.
They could, but I feel like he's upset. First off, I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. What's his name again?
Nick Fairley.
Nick Fairley, yeah. Everyone's like, I can't believe the Vikings passed on Nick Fairley. Yeah, that's worked out well for him. I don't think he wants to come back. And especially if Suh's not back, they're not going to be as dominant anymore on defense.
Oh, no.
And they have to go against Theodore Bridgewater twice a year.
I don't think that yet scares players. Maybe the front office. It's like, oh boy, I'm worried that we're going to have Aaron Rodgers and Teddy Bridgewater to face for the next decade.
Yeah, think about it. We have always been a quarterback away, right? And now what do we have?
Hopefully.
Anyway, back to the Lions. My boss was a Lions fan, and he would make fun of me and say, you guys have lost 4 Super Bowls. You're terrible. And all I would come back with was, how how many times have you made it to the Super Bowl, Detroit Lions fan? And he looked it up. It's 0.
Well, yes, it's absolutely.
They haven't even made it to the dance.
No.
I'd rather lose than not go.
Yeah.
At least we win.
They haven't won a playoff game in, I think, 25 years.
Oh, my goodness. I love the Detroit Lions. And if they're good, they still won't win the Super Bowl or get there. And if they're good, that means the other team that I hate with all my guts is bad. It always works out that way. The Chicago Bears. God, I love our division. And when A-Rod dies, which he will at some point, the Vikings will become victorious once again.
You think it's going to take that long? That's depressing talk from you.
No, it won't take that long. We'll be battling Green Bay for supremacy. We'll always win, but it'll be clear-cut favorites by that time. That's where I'm going with that.
Okay. So, I don't know. I don't trust the Cowboys. I think they're going to find a way to lose. I think they are going to be shocked at how cold it is, even though they've been trying to practice in colder temperatures. And when Aaron Rodgers is on, he is very, very difficult to stop. I'm sorry. I trust Aaron Rodgers in a shootout more than Tony Romo, and that might be what it comes down to.
Hold on. Let's just be honest with each other. Since we're married, I feel like if we have a house built on lies, we'll end up in divorce. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm fighting for us. If Aaron Rodgers is on, there is nothing that you can stop him.
Yeah.
I don't care if you bring back the 85 Bears, you bring back every best player at defensive position and put them on the same team. I am fully convinced he will kill you. But he has to be on. And I don't think he's going to be on.
I think the injury... He's one of those players that plays with an enormous chip on his shoulder.
He does.
He really, really does, and he doesn't need to have this chip, but he does!
Like if
He's kind of like Michael Jordan in the sense that he
absolutely.
finds slights. Anything. And I feel like he's going to be like, oh, people are discounting me because of this ankle. Well, fuck them!
Right. I feel like Brett Favre is competitive, but he was more of a slap-ass guy. If he had a tenth of Aaron Rodgers' competitiveness, they would have won multiple Super Bowls with him. Aaron Rodgers is on another planet.
He's just so angry all the time.
But he's smiling and laughing because he knows he's going to kill you.
Yes. He could be a serial killer.
He absolutely could.
And he would get away with it. He'd be smart enough to get away with it.
Oh, for sure.
There is a very real chance that Aaron Rodgers actually is a serial killer.
There's a super real chance that he's killed a guy.
Yep.
And it's probably one of his own teammates.
He's probably the real villain in the podcast Serial.
Have we seen John Kuhn? Where is he? Does he still exist? Did Aaron kill him? Look at Aaron Rodgers' life. He is on top of his game for the NFL football. Like in general. Like in possibly history by the time it's over. And he could kill you, like with just snapping his fingers. And he's also dating Olivia Munn. What possible...
Yeah, how can he be so angry? Why is he so angry? I want to find a way to make him happy so maybe he won't be so good anymore.
I have an idea. The next time we play them, you have to go to the team hotel without pants. We can make him happy enough to forget.
I don't think that's going to work.
Let me do the talking.
Olivia Munn! Olivia Munn!
Yeah.
You would think that would make a person happy. It would make me happy.
It would make... I feel like there's only two people on this planet who wouldn't be happy. Tom Brady, because he has Giselle, and Aaron Rodgers, who is the guy. Oh, boy.
Okay.
I don't even think Olivia Munn's the most attractive woman in the world, but...
She'd make me happy.
It's hard to do better. It's hard.
And she seems like she'd be fun. In so many ways. So very many ways.
Internet. I feel like when you said that, the only things I could think of were Reddit, 4chan, and my mind blew up. We don't need to get into this because I do know of a Packer fan who listens to this and his kid listens, so we don't need to describe why you're saying what you are.
Well, I mean, she'd be fun that way, but in general, not in that way. She seems like a fun person. What was that show she did on G4, the Attack of the Gamers or whatever?
Yeah, that's right.
She's a gamer, too! Yeah. Okay, so...
Enough of riding Aaron Rodgers' jockstrap. We have Theodore.
Yeah.
Theodore broke 91 rookie records. Are there even 91 rookie records?
They really scraped to put that number together.
Okay,
they really did. You know they did. I mean, he had a great year. I love it. He set some real records. They really scraped to find some of these records.
Full disclosure. I saw the number 91. I refused to read it because that is so impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's the most times a rookie has entered the door. The most times he's knocked.
Yeah.
So I didn't read it at all. I just read the headline. I said, good for you, Theodore, and I moved on with my life. What do you want to talk about now?
The other NFC game, which is going to probably not be good, even though these teams have played each other tough recently.
They have, but this is the postseason.
This is the postseason. This is in Seattle.
And I know Carolina kind of does well there, but...
all those games have been in Carolina.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But even so, it's the playoffs, and I think you're not the stupid Legion of Boom. I don't think they care as much about the regular season. So that's
I don't think that's
thanks
good.
for playing.
I do enjoy. Do you read Bill Barnwell on Grantland?
No.
Oh, he's very good.
I don't even know.
He's a very good general NFL guy, and it was kind of funny because he was talking about teams before the season that were going to regress, more than likely.
Okay.
And he was getting so much grief this week on Twitter from Panthers fans because he predicted the Panthers to regress. They completely did regress. They
did.
were 7-8-1.
They did.
And they're like, no, we didn't regress. We made the playoffs and won. So it's
good
like,
job.
You guys are morons.
You won, what, 4 less games? 5 less games?
Yeah, 4.
I mean, come on.
4 less in the regular season, I guess. Now,
That's
no, it's 4 less with the playoffs.
That's like 30%.
Yeah.
That's a giant drop. That's almost a third.
Yeah. But no, he's very good, and I just enjoyed Panthers fans tried to say we didn't regress when they were a much worse team this year.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. We beat them.
We did.
We beat a playoff team.
We did.
Any other playoff teams we beat? No.
No. Because we didn't beat teams with winning records.
Stop that.
We didn't.
I believe in Theodore.
I do too. That doesn't change the fact.
Back to Aaron Rodgers. Do you know what Aaron Rodgers said?
I'm angry.
I think I've brought it up one other time. He said that Mike Zimmer was the hardest defensive coordinator he's played against.
Okay.
That's our head coach.
Yeah, he said it when he was with the Bengals, but...
No, he said it after
we hired him, but because of a game.
No, after the TCF game where they barely won by 3, he said, I'm sorry, not defensive coordinator, but he said a Mike Zimmer defense, that it was the hardest defense I've played against.
That's always encouraging.
I feel like it was a lie, though. I mean, I believe in Zim. You know I do. But I feel like he kind of lied because he's trying to trick us. That's what serial killers do. They lie to you.
I'm convinced.
Convinced that he's a liar, or convinced that we have
he's a serial killer?
I'm totally convinced. And you did bring up, maybe he did kill Hay in Serial.
Yep.
Do we need to... Well, let's mention Serial. Have you listened to that podcast?
I have not.
I already know that because I asked you that before the podcast.
And then you and the intern talked for a very long time, and you guys were very excited about it.
It's fantastic. You can... All the episodes... Just go to serial.something. But you can listen to all of them there for free, and it's the most fantastic story. And I really do wonder if Aaron Rodgers is involved.
He might be.
Well, there's no way anyone that's actually involved is actually involved. That's how effed up this is. Listen to it. That's all I got. We don't need to talk about Jay or Adnan or Hay or stupid high school.
High school is stupid. I hated high school.
You know, if we went to the same high school, we would have been friends.
What have we?
Yeah, I didn't have any friends, so you would have been the only one to like me.
Been friends because I didn't have many friends either.
See, we would have hung out together. I mean, that's all I got. That was the end of that statement.
Okay. So then the AFC.
Yes, the AFC.
Ravens going to New England.
Did you know Rich Gannon already picked the upset?
I didn't.
He did. He picked the Ravens over the Patriots.
You know, I will agree with a caveat.
Okay.
No, you didn't watch that game either, I assume.
Nope.
That was maybe the most brutal football game I've seen in a very the Ravens Steelers.
I saw the score. That's all that mattered.
The refs really, the whole idea of protecting players and stuff, that kind of went out the window in this game.
I feel like that should happen at Ravens Steelers, though.
It felt right. If these refs take the same approach, there may be a death on the field. No, seriously, they were just beating the shit out of each other, and I couldn't believe there weren't flags being thrown. I'm pretty sure Ben Roethlisberger suffered a concussion and came in 2 plays later.
I will tell you, I watched a Ravens Steelers game with one of my friends. You know him, who's a Steeler fan, Alex. And he literally stopped it and replayed where Suggs tackles Roethlisberger and proceeds to punch him while on the ground, but between the face mask. And he broke his nose and is bleeding all over. And he was irate that there was not even a hint of a flag.
Yeah. So if these refs take the same approach, I think I agree with the upset call. I'm guessing the refs were probably told off, like, you're not going to let them do this to Tom Brady, so New England will probably win because of that. But it all depends on how the refs call this game.
Well, Tom Brady will be on the sidelines high-fiving air. Those are the weirdest things. Have you seen those?
No.
There are plays when Tom Brady does something amazing. They score a touchdown or something great happens. And he goes to the sideline and he has his helmet off and he's like, "Good job, guys." And he's trying to give everyone a high five. And every single player just walks by him and does not give him a high five. But
I wonder if they set that up.
It can't be. You look at his face, though, and you can see disappointment. But he also is like, "I'm going to keep trying, guys." It is hilarious.
Huh.
And then eventually it shows him he just sits down and smiles and like pretends no one saw that. It's, oh my God, it's great.
I can't believe I haven't seen this.
Oh my God, you are missing it. It's like last night I was showing someone the YouTube video on on Shia LaBeouf. They made a musical about him being a serial killer.
Okay.
Have you not seen it? I'm going to show it to you before I leave. It's like, I don't know, 3-4 minutes long, and it's a full-blown production. Like, they have dancers, and they have people coming down from the ceilings. Oh, my God, it is... And they're singing the whole thing, so there's subtitles. You can read it. I kind of feel like you that way sometimes. You'll understand.
Okay. What do you think will happen in that game?
I don't think there's any way Tom Brady that they would allow that with Tom Brady on the field. Tom Brady is like Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he has the capabilities of evil henchmen to kill people, and he's too old for that.
This might be his last year in New England.
No way. No way.
I don't think it will be either, but it would be a very Bill Belichick move.
See, I would agree with you, except for what he just did for them.
No. What he just did for them made it more likely that he will be cut.
But yes and no. Yes.
Because it doesn't clear out cap space for him. People were saying it did. It does not.
No, it doesn't. It just frees up cash to give out bonuses. So they wouldn't owe him any more or less. Well, actually, he gets $1 million more.
Yeah.
But The thing is, it's no longer guaranteed for skill. I think it's only injury.
Yep.
So here's why it's a giant no. The Patriots always have a way of doing things, right? And yes, I agree that this is the time when they would just move on and never even think about it. But you had a guy who believes in your organization so much that he told you that money you owe me, go ahead and take it out of escrow and use it however you want. I'll okay it. If they cut him, no player will ever want to play for them because.
See, I think it's understood on both sides. If that happens, that was the plan.
That's dirty under the table dealing. That's beyond it.
Well, I mean, this would be Brady and the team agreeing. I think if he's gone, it's him making that move to speed his leaving. Like, I think he's aware that this makes it more likely he's gone. Because the owners are rich beyond belief to believe that they're that concerned. Yeah, the Crafts. They're not they're that concerned about having $17 million in an escrow fund somewhere that they can't just. They're billionaires. They're owners of.
Yeah, but
they make so much freaking money every year off the Patriots.
Yeah, but money isn't. It's not the same as you think it is. So yeah, they are filthy rich. If they needed money, they can get money. But it's not like they don't have a bank account with just $1 billion sitting in it.
Oh no, I know
they can
don't.
make withdrawals whenever they want. It's more complicated. So
that's why the whole talk when Trump was going to buy the Bills, and he tried to tell the current owners, the estate, I don't know if it was talking to their kids or his wife or whatever of the owners, I will write you a check right now for $1 billion for the team. It's like, no, you won't, you fucking liar.
Yeah.
I gotta stop.
Yeah, stop with the language. Yeah, they're little kids.
I apologize, little kids.
It's not like we've talked about Olivia Munn breaking the internet, Aaron Rodgers being a serial killer, or we've even mentioned anal feeding?
Rectal feeding.
Rectal feeding. So, I mean, honestly, you stop muddying those waters and making it a terrible podcast.
Oh. So, no, I mean, the talk is that it's possible this would actually be the team showing loyalty to him. Because if he didn't do that, they would have to trade him, and then he would not have control over where he was going. So the talk was this was actually a show of loyalty. This allows them to cut him so he can pick the team.
No way. I mean, I like Jimmy Garoppolo. No way. Seriously, all the players may actually burn down the Patriots building if they do this.
I don't think they'll do that if Tom Brady explains that's what it was. This wasn't them screwing me. This was them giving me a chance to pick the team. This was them being generous. I'm not saying I expect it. I think now next offseason I could see it, especially if Garoppolo is looking really good in practice.
No.
But this offseason, 30 to 40% chance.
That's too high. Are you drunk? Did you?
I had one Diet Sierra Mist.
What did you drink before that, you silly fool?
Water?
That's a lie. You opened a can in front of my face, drank
This is the can.
Is that water? That's not water.
It's Diet Sierra Mist.
But you drank it and then said that wasn't enough pop.
And then I grabbed this pop, and I haven't opened it yet.
Well, why don't you open it, Kristen? The new Nick. God, that sounded. You didn't even drink it though. You have to drink it and then say ah. Have you even watched commercials? Okay, was that refreshing?
It was.
You.
This is basically water, though. Seriously, it's Diet Sierra Mist. This is basically water.
Carbonated water.
It is
Fantastic. With sugar.
Not much.
Not much. Go ahead and tell us how much sugar is in it.
I don't see sugar listed as an ingredient.
That lies.
I see carbonated water, citric acid, natural flavor, potassium citrate. Did you like how I just threw that word in there?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. And a bunch of other words I can't say.
There is 2% of your daily diet in salt. Think about that. Salt. You've taken 4% of your daily diet by drinking these 2 cans.
That's swell. So, do you have any other insights into the Patriots-Ravens game?
0. I'll pick the Ravens too. I think out of all of them, that's probably the most logical upset.
Okay. Denver Colts, you don't think is the most logical upset?
You mean Master versus Apprentice?
Sure.
No, because Andrew Luck, he's really good, but he likes to throw interceptions a lot. And I don't think now is when Peyton's going to lose.
I feel like the Colts are very overrated in general. I think they really beat up on teams that can't rush the passer at all, and they just look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, just against a bad defense, they are a top offense in the league. I mean, even against other offenses playing bad defenses, they take advantage of it better than most teams can.
Yes.
But I do think they're somewhat overrated. The only thing is, Peyton Manning looked really bad the last couple weeks. He had a bye week now.
Yes.
Maybe he's over whatever was going on. Hopefully he is, because I enjoy watching good Peyton Manning work.
I think so. I mean, and they're also going to... They're going to be running the ball much more, and they have a better defense than the Colts have.
Playing at home, they do actually have a defense that can rush the passer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's, I mean, it'd be cool if the Colts won, but I don't think it'd be as splashy.
See, I think if I could pick a team to win the Super Bowl of the teams that are left, I would go with Denver. I would like Peyton Manning to get another ring. I don't know why. I should dislike him because he's on all the commercials.
But he's pretty good in the commercials.
He's pretty good.
I mean, I like his SNL thing better than I like his commercials.
That was hilarious.
That's Aaron Rodgers, like, for real. I feel like that wouldn't be a spoof. That's, like, if Aaron Rodgers goes, they don't send him out on Community Day. Because I feel like that's what he would do. He would throw the ball into a kid's head.
Probably.
Kill him.
And then it would probably be in Green Bay, and the town would cover it up for him.
Oh, for sure.
They would definitely cover up a murder of a child.
Well, they covered up Brett Favre's penis. You think they're not going to cover up Aaron Rodgers' killing of people?
I think the second one is more difficult to do, but...
Not in Green Bay.
It still would happen in Green Bay. They would completely...
Well, okay, so the intern just shouted, how did they cover up Brett Favre's penis? Well, with pants, normally. But, you see, when Brett Favre went to the Jets, 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 it was determined that he sent pictures of his junk to members of the staff who are, like, massage you and stuff like that. Hot girls, let's just be honest.
Hot girls employed by the team.
Yes. And it was like, well, really, do we think that he just all of a sudden figured out how to take pictures of his penis? And there was some leakage that he had inappropriate relations while at Green Bay, but no one in Green Bay would obviously come forward because they're like a small cult. So that's how they covered up his penis. I really like that that's when he came in.
Yep. So we're both... Who would you most like to see win the Super Bowl of the remaining teams?
You know, I probably have to go with either Tony or Tom.
Really? You want to see the Patriots win another one? Belichick?
I mean, because I sympathize with Tom that he's way more of an average guy than anyone else. But he does work ridiculously hard. He goes to bed at 8:30 every night because this is all he's got. And, for an average guy to be at that level for so long, why not? Why not? And it's not like they can cheat anymore. They got caught, and then they're not going to do that anymore. So it's not, and he has no supporting cast. He has Gronkowski. So that would be interesting. Or Tony, only because when you're on the S list for so long, to just break through and win one, so he can give the middle finger to everyone forever, that'd be kind of cool. I don't want A-Rod to win it. He'll go on another killing spree.
I'm really worried he is.
I don't think he'll beat Seattle. Because
Seattle is playing a lot better. But that's the talk for next week, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or are we skipping a week?
We're skipping a week. You know how this works.
We're skipping a week, but don't worry, there will be a podcast next week.
There won't be, actually, because we're skipping the championship. So we're actually skipping next week. And then it's the Pro Bowl weekend, which is worthless. So we have a Super Bowl one for you. You don't listen to anything I tell you before the podcast, do you?
Okay, when you say we are skipping a week, at some point during the next calendar week, will you be here to record a podcast?
Negative.
Okay, then we are actually skipping a week.
Yeah, I told you that. Just like we did last week.
We didn't skip a calendar week last week.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
How did we skip a calendar week?
Because
you were here last week, and you're here this week. We did not miss a calendar week.
Yes, the game. We missed the game.
We missed a game week, whatever the shit that means.
You know what? I don't like your attitude right now. Yeah, potty mouth.
But so we did not skip a calendar week. You understand that?
I don't think we're ever going to agree on this, because we did.
How did we skip a calendar week?
Because we skipped the game.
No, see, skipping a game, not talking about a game, is not the same as going a week without a podcast.
It is to me.
Okay, to not you, to me. Are you coming over sometime?
Well, you have weird thoughts all the time. I mean, you wanted to talk about rectal feeding. Like I'm ever going to follow you.
I have no problem if we have a podcast next week. I'm just very confused by your use of the word week.
Well, let's think about this. How are you going to contact me to find out if we're coming?
I don't know. You might just show up randomly at my door and demand to be let in.
Let's talk about this. Why can't you contact me?
Because you're a jerk.
Because I'm a jerk?
You didn't read my whole message and acknowledge that I had agreed to stop texting you.
Those aren't texts.
Facebook messaging you.
Yeah, because you're ridiculous about it. You're my crazy ex-girlfriend. I fight for you. I fight for you.
Our relationship keeps changing. You said you were going to fight for me. Now I'm your ex-girlfriend. Earlier you were my wife. You really haven't locked down this relationship talk.
I feel like you're just using me for my brain.
It's not for your brain.
I'd rather you use me for my body, so this is going to work out well.
It's not for your body.
Why not? What?
No, because that's part of his body. His wallet.
You're using me for my wallet because I buy you food?
Yep.
See, I buy you food because that's how we keep each other happy.
Exactly.
Except that I'm a giver and you're not because you've never taken your pants off. And that's the only thing I've ever asked for. True?
I think you've asked for other things.
Liar.
But anyhow. So you said you wanted to talk about Viking news?
Yeah, just a couple things. Let's clean house a bit. Sweep. Did you hear about the news of Kyle Shanahan?
That he's leaving the Browns?
Yes, but did you hear why he was dismayed at the front office?
Because they were pushing Manziel?
Well, that too. But he also apparently in training camp had words with them because he did not want them to waive one Charles Johnson.
I did not hear that. That is interesting.
It is great interesting news. It's on Roto World. The other thing is, how do you feel about the wait for 28, as it's now being called?
The wait for 28.
Yeah, the decision, 2015. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh,
really? It took you that long?
About that.
We barely talk about it.
And I'm still tired.
We had one podcast where I talked for like an hour about it.
We've talked about it more than that.
And you went to sleep during it.
I didn't go to sleep.
Your eyes glossed over.
My eyes definitely glossed over. I mean, there's no new news there.
Yes, there is.
There's a new court date for something that
and the judge.
And the judge is
who hates the NFL.
That's swell, but I suspect his suspension will end in April either way. So it's not that interesting of an update to me.
Well, that may not be accurate because
it may not be, but I suspect
that court
it will.
date is to determine whether he gets that suspension date lifted.
Well, yeah, I'm aware, but I don't think it. I suppose it affects their off-season plans if they're planning on getting rid of him.
They're not.
I hope they're not, but I still think if they're keeping him, it doesn't matter if his suspension is lifted, February 6th or April 15th.
Or June 1st. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. The other thing is an article came out, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, on redrafting the top 10.
You're talking about the article the Viking Journal did.
Yeah.
So a Viking fan wrote a draft where the draft's first 5 picks, 2 of them are Vikings.
But it's fairly accurate. And
I don't think that Oakland doesn't draft Mac.
I think they like Mac, but I agree with the synopsis that Anthony Barr is going to be. But here's the problem.
Mac made the Pro Bowl, and I know that doesn't mean a ton, but it's pretty hard to.
That's how I feel about the Pro Bowl. Not you.
I don't think. I wish they would cancel it. That would be so much better.
Just change it to a skills competition. That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
And flag football?
Mac was really good for them, and he stayed healthy.
He did. But here's where I think it's a little misguided. I think we would be having the same discussion if we switched. If Oakland had drafted Barr and we had drafted Mac, I think it would still be the same type of discussion because I think they were both ultimately talented, but I think it's the coach behind it that got it out. Mac was much more ready to play linebacker at the NFL level. Barr wasn't because he was so raw. But I think if Zimmer can do that to Barr, he could make Mac into elite immediately.
Well, that would be great, but again, Oakland had the 5th pick.
Right, which they chose Anthony Barr in the redraft.
I don't think they would because apparently only Zimmer could have unlocked that talent.
But I don't think other teams don't think that way though. They see what Barr was capable of, and they think, well, I am a better coach. I can do even more. I don't think that's accurate, but that's the way that they have. Those guys have much larger egos than we do.
I think it's
than you do.
Fun. I have a pretty big ego.
You have a pretty big bulge in your pants. Hey yo! I had nowhere to go with that. Let's just be honest.
Thank
you. You're welcome. Whole new Nick, bulging out and everything.
I don't have my thought process back.
All you can think about is my thought on your penis?
Sure. I'm not entirely sure how to respond.
How do you feel that the intern and myself, all we can think about is your penis?
This turned in a direction I wasn't expecting.
I wasn't either, but let's go for it. We've got to lose.
I don't know. Listeners?
We're not. Especially on this subject, the few listeners we do have are not going to leave us because
I thought you were just talking about a kid that listens. I don't think this random kid.
Well, the kid doesn't actively listen, but their parent listens and just happens to have the kid in the car sometimes. Okay. So that's why. I don't even know if he still listens. He probably stopped.
He probably stopped right around the rectal feeding.
Probably.
I think they stick with Mac.
Sure. It doesn't matter. I think even if Oakland doesn't draft him, I think he's drafted before us.
Possibly. C.J. Mosley also had a really good year, and you could see a team wanting to go inside rather than outside. Because we used Barr in a very specific way, and not every team would choose to use him. That way, we kind of used him almost as if we play a 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that every team would use him that way, so they might prefer a C.J. Mosley. And they would just... This was a very good draft year. I mean, there are a lot of really good... I could absolutely see Barr going much higher. I could see him still being there.
I would agree.
Just because this was just a really good year for rookies.
It is, but you're forgetting the A topic. Do you think if it was redrafted,
absolutely Teddy would go first?
That Houston does not go Jadeveon, they go Teddy.
Oh yeah, it's the most important position. And after 1 year, Teddy certainly looks like he's going to be a franchise guy. You can't pass that up.
Well, and especially the article talked about that they were keeping all of the known of what happened throughout the season. So when you grab a guy off the streets and start him, then it looks more bad that you don't have a QB. And I am convinced that when Cleveland traded up for Manziel, Houston thought to themselves, we're in. Teddy's going to slide all the way to us because they did not... I didn't think Gambling Rick was going to trade up again.
There was talk we were going to trade up with the Eagles pick, so I figured that they would trade up after that.
Sure, but it's how much in the story at the time it looked like we were battling for Manziel,
and I really wanted to believe that wasn't true.
I think when they saw Cleveland get Manziel, I think the reason we didn't trade in the next couple picks, we waited longer, is because we never wanted Manziel. We wanted Teddy. And because Cleveland would have been our competition. And when they found out that Cleveland was stupid, they said, oh, well, we don't have to worry that much because there's no one really in front of us except for Houston. So they had to get back into the first round. But I didn't know. I thought maybe they'd try and chance it. And I think Houston thought the same thing, that we were going to hope he slid a bit.
I'm sure we were talking to teams making sure no one else was making an offer.
Probably.
For the second straight offseason, we are talking to Chris Carter's son. That doesn't really excite me anymore.
Well, he came to us. He was in training camp.
Yeah. I don't even think he made training camp, did he? He made mini camps. He came in for a physical or something. I don't think he actually was in...
He did some practicing. It might have been mini camp and OTAs.
Yeah.
But I remember reading at the time that the problem wasn't going to be his skill set. It was he needed to mature. And we didn't think he was mature enough, which obviously nobody else did either. Now it seems as though...
It sounds like he had a solid enough year in Canada.
Well, and I think part of his immaturity was he really needed money. He wanted to be professional. And some people just don't work in college. I barely worked in college. College and I do not agree together. I'm a much better person in real world versus college world. I think he was similar, but he wasn't mature enough to look at it as though you have to show people you're worth it. And that's where he failed. So maybe he lost that because now he had a year of work and he can be a professional again. I am a little surprised that teams who are in the playoffs, like the Colts, didn't sign him. So I know we have a workout with him tomorrow, I think.
Something like that. And he's 6'5". I mean, he's got the height.
And he's got speed. But I don't know. I don't know enough about him.
Yeah. And I don't know anything else about the other guys we signed to future contracts to say anything intelligent about it.
Yeah, that's why they're on future contracts.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about the draft yet. That's
way too early.
Or the off-season moves. We're only talking about Mr. Carter because he has a workout in the next day or two. That's really all the Vikings news ahead. Like I said, just the sweeping.
All right. Want to send us out, intern?